Believe it or not, the world is shaped like a donut. I'm Zane, this is Sebastian, we're talking about radios. Now, why are we talking about such a thing? Well, first off, we're using radio waves right now through playing this video. That's just an example of how often we use radio waves. They're literally everywhere and used by everyone. They can communicate information and such really well and are very cost effective so that everyone can afford one.
Okay, so I'll be talking about the overview of the radio and the radio waves. So radio waves are best known for their use in communication technologies such as television, phones, and navigational devices. And radio waves do fall on the end of the wave spectrum, so they have the longest wavelength but shortest frequency. And radio waves can be used for different things depending on their frequency, and radio waves with lower frequency can be used to penetrate rock and water for communication, while radio waves with a higher frequency can be used for radio, television, and phones.
Next up, the inventor of the radio was Guglielmo Marconi. He was born in Bologna, Italy, to a very wealthy family who homeschooled him. He was very intrigued by the discovery of radio waves by Heinrich Hertz. He recognized the potential of radio waves and knows that they can be used as a form of communication. He first began transmitting signals across the English Channel, and later on became one of the first people to send a message across the transatlantic. Ever since his first use of the radio, radios have changed and adapted over time. The first main use was during the 1900s and during World War I with the AM frequency. Due to the success of the AM frequency throughout the war, it became the most popular frequency around the world used for broadcasting. In 1960, another discovery of a frequency came out, the FM signal. The FM signal can be transmitted on any frequency. In addition, it allowed for simple internet connection, streaming, and other radio stations from any radio station and podcast. Nowadays, the radio has a significance in everyday lives. The radio is in all our technologies that we use today. For example, smartphones, laptop computers, and cars. As stated before, radios allow for the spreading of information about current events and music. In addition, it is the first source of new songs or audio entertainment.
I'm going to be talking about the physics behind the radio and the radio waves. So, as expected, radios do use radio waves to operate. The frequency range of the radio is 300 gigahertz to 3 kilohertz. On the other hand, the wavelength range is 1 millimeter to 100 kilometers. Lastly, the period range is about 3,000 to 30 billion seconds, and radio waves are used for radios because it is the only type of wave that can transmit a signal.
How does it operate? The steps to simple radio operation. Each radio contains two parts, a transmitter and receiver. First, the transmitter encodes incoming waves, which are then amplified and sent to the receiver. The receiver then decodes the message. As previously stated, radios are used for media purposes. It is used to spread information throughout the media. They are also used for war, advertising, and emergencies.
Okay, so like everything else, radios do have their pros and cons. So some of the pros are that they can be used as a form of communication. The waves that it uses does not harm any humans or animals, and they have different ranges of frequency, and on top of that, they can be used to save lives. For example, if someone's stranded in the middle of the ocean, they can send off a signal through the radio and they can be saved. And some of the cons are they cannot transmit a lot of data due to low frequency, and sometimes there's a little interference between the radio waves and it might cut off some communication.
And last but not least, sources.